I'm just gonna ask some very simple questions to each one of you, and then we'll see where things go. We're gonna start with Rayana. Thank you for presenting the research around user experience in the project 12 for XR. So basically, I'd like to ask you. You work in the Lucid Lab, which is a lab for user cognition. You mostly work on user cognition, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So, and you told me there is a very interesting anecdote that you can tell us. So I'm just going to ask you this question directly. So how do you ensure that XR solutions that are designed in your lab are actually designed with the intention to be inclusive and accessible to diverse user groups?
To be honest, I don't really have a one answer or guidelines to design inclusive and experience taken into account the diversity groups. I would say that we should integrate the background, the social, cultural background and context of people instead of the assumptions of people in the first stage of the design. Also continuously test with diverse groups. I know it's not really simple, especially in a research project to test, but I think one of the most important thing is going in the field to test and to co-design also with the end users. And one of the anecdote is another project about XR augmented reality we're developing in our lab with Tunisia, which is not far from Morocco, in the south of Tunisia. It's about using augmented reality to promote and enhance craftswomanship. So about making carpet weaving carpets. And we were in the south of Tunisia to work with the women that weave the carpet, and the idea was about to 3D scan the women while doing their work on the carpets, and then display these 3D avatars of the women, animated avatar in the caves where the ancestral work was done. And culturally, we can't photograph, we can't 3D scan a woman in this with this social and cultural background. So it was unexpected, and so we took a researcher, we put on her the traditional dress of the women, and just with 3D scanned the researcher. So what I would like to say is sometimes there's an expected way to design from diverse groups, and that's why it's really important to go in the field and also to work on an iterative process and continuously test and co-design, especially with the end users.
Great, thanks. So your experience applying participatory design methods, what are the most challenging things about doing that way?
I think create a common vision, a common background. I think it's one of the most challenging features about design.
Thank you. All right, Ali. I would like to stay within the user-centered design or human-centric approaches, because you work a lot. You have experience, obviously, in your PhD and after in your research applying user-centered design methods, and now you work in climate disaster preparation topics and similar. So how do you involve users, or in this case, real people, to join your research projects, and what is their feedback when you talk about, preparing people for climate change, for even disasters like earthquakes and so on? Because we said that I think the focus of the panel was really, okay, technical things are important, but the user, the human side is also important. So what is the feedback you get from your participants, and also, does this really work? Like, to show people how badly things can turn out in using just an XR application, does that transfer and translate into them being ready for something like this?
Excellent question. So it can be actually continuation what she said. Definitely, actually, you can't design innovation or a system without having the people who are end user of that system. I have been engaged in many examples within the last 16 years of being in the UK that a system was sold to a company like NHS healthcare system, and because there were not enough training and co-developing and co-design, it failed immediately, despite the amazing kind of money actually spent on it. So how you can actually engage people? So in the example of the disaster kind of visualization, that's even harder because you're talking about cross-continent user in 2 different countries or 3 different countries. But what is the value of that? So us as an innovation or technology lead, we can actually deliver a very hyper-realistic kind of environment. But also there are kind of consideration like motion sickness, like the smell of blood in the site. So NSW first responders actually sent to Turkey after the earthquake. And one of the most intense sensory kind of things they actually immediately felt was the smell of blood. And they all actually get sick. So there is like limits that what you can deliver. You know that you can deliver it even more, but the value of actually having like a different type of key and emerging a stakeholder in the loop is actually invaluable. So you don't actually, when you're designing like a disaster kind of visualization, you don't only actually focusing on the policymakers or the first responder training. You also have a lot of people who can suffer from an experience. That's why I showed 3 different layers of visualization. So for example, in wildfire scenario in California, if they had the knowledge or wisdom of the Australia transform in a way that they can actually receive it, there were better kind of preparation and there were better kind of response to actually evacuating kind of those buildings. So definitely. And then how technology can help with it. So platforms like MetaHuman, we have a paper in ISMAR about it, that you can actually have a small, as you mentioned, a small number of groups that can be captured or something. So you can actually train a model based on a small subset of participants, but you can actually design limitless types and like races and body anatomies in MetaHuman to actually then train your algorithm, for example, in AI, I think 4x are kind of understand.
Great, thank you so much. Sufyan, we're gonna remain again within the human technology interaction, specifically human-robot interaction. In your lab, you have shown us some examples of how you use robots to do different things, to even replace human operators. But I'm very curious to see, to hear from you. How do you see, in general, the role of robots and human-robot collaboration in maintenance? And will humans and robots work together, or will humans be replaced by robots? Or are we going to abandon robots altogether because they simply can't do things that humans can, and we're going to start appreciating the human, holistic approach to things and human, everything that people can do and learn from a small data set rather than providing this huge data set to robots and then they can still just do 1 or 2 things. How do you see the human heuristic and robot precision work together?
So thank you for your question. So actually that question is so concerning, speaking with the actual operative or actual humans that working in line, like every day they ask themselves, are we going to be replaced by cobots? Are we going to be replaced by machines? So actually when talking about HRC, so it's not the objective to replace the human, to replace the robot with the human. The idea is both of them can work together. For example, so we can, for example, give the cobots tasks that can be repetitive, tasks can be dangerous, or even tasks that can be in toxic areas or environments. And for the human can take the tasks that can be decisive. For example, a human can only make decisions or can be in the supervision part. And also, he can make also some decision that can be trusted with the human. So the main objective is to do a collaborative model. So both of them work in an environment that will be more smoother and more efficient in the process.
So in the end, the humans will not mind not to go in dangerous environments.
So, as I said, like we're gonna try to do some task allocation.
Yeah.
Like, for example, on which task we're gonna give it to the human and which task we're gonna give it to the robot. So, in general or in a nutshell, it depends on which task we are talking about.
Right. You already have a system in place to decide which one, like which task is more suitable for robots and which one is for humans?
Actually, for my projects or for my use case, as we can see, like we use the cobots to, for example, work with electric armors. If we talk about high voltage, so we kept the robots and we kept the human. So the human were doing a remote teleoperation for the cobots.
Right.
So like both of them did the same task, if we can say that.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Kevin, I'd like to ask you, since you work in the field of effective computing and human-agent interaction, how do you see that XR can improve how natural and how effective interactions between humans and AI agents are? What do you think about that?
First, let's agree on what an agent is, because a lot of people use it for different terms.
Okay.
For me, an agent is an interface that allows you to interact with a machine without needing to push buttons, raise lever, and just using human ways of communicating: text, audio, gestures, etc. That's an agent. The easiest way to answer that question is, I'll take you back to 2022, around that time, where ChatGPT went out, right? That's a chatbot. That's a system that allows you to interact with a machine with human language, right? Back then, if you remember, it was a cool toy to have, to play with. It wasn't really productive. And the reason, if you remember the difference between then and now, is that now ChatGPT can interact with internet. It can go grab data from there and answer your question based on the information it found from the database it has access to. In this case, internet, the entire internet, right? So the actual added value between then and now is context, is contextual information, right? Ideally, in the long term, you would need an agent, an assistant that would help you with your daily life or at your work environment, right? But for that to happen, they need to be able to interact and be aware of your environment. That is very complicated to do, right? But if a step towards there would be to have an agent interact with at least your virtual environment, because that's, in computer science, in an engineering way, it's a lot easier to have an agent aware of assets that are programmed, not physical assets that are there, because it's already integrated in your program, right? To make it easy. So if you can have an agent interacting with your environment, you have gone one step further after the just chatbot that interacts with the database, right? And then hopefully, starting from there, we can go with the virtual real world. We go from virtual to real world based from that. So I think that's how agent would enhance, if you want, or they could benefit from each other, the agent systems with the XR environment.
Very good. Thank you so much. That was our first group. I would like to invite the second group to come on the stage. Oh, I'm so sorry. Any questions from the audience? Yes, please. Oh my God, let me come to you. I will give you a microphone. You have to speak into the microphone.
I forgot your name, sorry, but you speak about blood on your research. So my question is, do you integrate smell in your simulation or not?
Myself and a professor at Warwick University are US and UK patent holder for the taste and the smell of action in virtual reality. Yes, we can actually deliver that, but yes, you need to be careful about any post-trauma caused by giving a very immersive simulation, yes. So the way that the system works is actually human has 10 basic kind of tastes that you can combine them to create any synthetic kind of experiences. And also you can actually use a spectral analysis device to just see the compounds in a smell. So you have sometimes, for example, for beer, you have 2 million compounds, but only 5 or 6 of them are the most kind of the major kind of spikes in that analysis. So you can actually create it on site in a headset and diffuse it actually for the people to smell it. That's doable, yeah. And we have a device which was showcased in 2018 for delivering such a thing, yeah. But my point was actually, because we had actually also a lady when I was in Sydney, so we have a workshop and videos of it is in YouTube, and she was in the same building that we show actually for the earthquake simulation, and that can trigger very bad memories. So yes, you can make it like hyper-realistic, but there is like a balance between fidelity and accuracy and a lot of like human kind of aspects that you need to also think about it when you're delivering like, this sort of environment.
Just last question. Yeah. How do you recreate the smell of blood, for instance?
So I believe you saw these devices which analyzing actually any substance you give it into it, it gives you like a spike of the substance.
Like a chromatography? And
I think it's called a spectral analysis or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I
so,
have the word in French.
Yeah, I don't know what's the French name for it, but you actually see what a blood is actually consists of. Blood can be actually, you have a lot of iron in your blood, so it's a smelling iron, so you should actually see what substance you're actually putting in the device. Once you know the key components of that smell, then you can actually, yes, create it. And it's also the way that you deliver it as well, because I saw also a company downstairs giving some interesting kind of VR simulation of a perfume shop or something like that. So you need to think about how you can blank your sense of olfaction, because after 5 minutes you will be overwhelmed by actually many smells coming to your nose. You also actually have taste from a smell, so you have actually backward smelling like a cheese, the brie or something. You can actually deliver it through a smell, that how it tastes. So there are a lot of actually things around it, but the key thing is actually to make sure that it is actually adding something to your experience rather than ruining the other. So we also have a paper on the budget allocation from your brain to different sensory things and saliencies and things like that in this space as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? All right. Thank you. Group 2, please come to the stage.
Hey, merci.
Commence avec toi.
Je commence pas. Je fais la fin.
Cyril, you want to go first?
Sure.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Depends on the question.
So, the question I've prepared for you, we're going to stay within your domain of vehicles and transport and mobility more general. So as your research is exploring XR applications in the mobility field, mobility sector, for the occupant comfort in autonomous vehicles. So how do you see XR actually reshaping the future of mobility and urban design?
Yeah, it's a big question. I think there's obviously some of the examples that I've given already. There's clear entertainment opportunities for XR and immobility, and to really reshape the travel time experience and what it means to travel. And I think we already see this with the development of working on the move, that the perception of time has completely changed. And I think that can even be extended with extended realities. That will have a big impact on our experience of mobility. But I think the other thing that I think will be really useful is to really explore the opportunity in terms of inclusive design. We know that there's lots of restrictions by people experienced, and how we really leverage extended reality technologies to really help those who really benefit from it most. I think that's really important. And I think finally, what's really important is to understand, sticking to the inclusive design elements is how we actually manage to include this within the commercial design process. So we know from research a lot about the challenges and opportunities for designing for inclusivity, but we also know that in industry this is very, very low on their priority list. And so the question is, how do we bring this up by showing that inclusive design is better for all, and also demonstrate the commercial value of this. So I think that's a really key challenge, even within the XR community as well.
So the industry puts it low in their priority list, but for you, inclusive design certainly has not just value for the users in general, but you have also identified a commercial component to it?
So the idea is that if we design for all, this will benefit everyone. So the product and service that we create will be better for everyone, and so there should be commercial interest in that. But I think there's a constant need to emphasize this and bring it back to the agenda. It's easily forgotten because people feel like it's an investment that they may not see the return on.
Right. So it's inclusivity by design basically is not something that is often practiced in the industry.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah.
Same goes for user-centered design or any other type of design that puts humans first. Seems to be problematic to convince, the money makers and money holders to say, okay, this is the way to go.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. All right. All right, Yassine, I would like to ask you about... Sorry, where is the question? Yeah, found it. You had a recent project in Brussels, actually, at the Invisible Festival.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. So can you tell us a little bit more about what Invisible Festival was about and what you presented there?
Yeah.
Because I think I want to shift a little bit the focus now to cultural heritage.
Yeah.
Obviously in Morocco, but beyond Morocco. So XR and cultural heritage, and your presentation at Invisible Festival.
Exactly, the good question, because we have a lot of work about the domain heritage culture. Before XR Invisible, I want to work some partner. His name is ISESCO, is like UNESCO, is Islamic organization in Rabat in Morocco. We do some big work, and last is accepted by Digital Library in UNESCO, and some video there in the website. Is about reconstructing the monument in Marrakesh. And we reconstruct 3 monuments with the 3D how we can architect Moroccan, how the door and the design. And because in Africa we have different design, because in Morocco we can take example for the door, we have a lot of style for the door. In Tunisia we have different, in Algeria. And the reconstruction how the architects and create some interactive avatar by AI that can help the user and get him for discover more the monument, and you can answer him any question about the story about this monument. We are doing it by virtual reality and augmented reality. And this is the first second XR for Invisible. We do some, for example, create some avatars about Zainab Nafzawiya, is a very famous person, historical person, is founder the city of Marrakesh, if you know, and they have a lot of strategy. We create some avatar with outfit, Moroccan traditional outfits, and by AI, by 3D model, you can ask him, can tell you about his story and how we can create this city. And represented for XR Invisible. And this year, we are partner with XR for Invisible for some partner for organization event for next year in March about, for example, about 3D for use case for some students in Europe, in Africa, and USA, for example, have some use case for research and the gaming, and do all that for objective told the new generation and tell them about story about next different method is not the traditional method just reading story in the book, but this interactive something like a game or some application interactive avatar can help new generation understand more about this story of the person or the monument.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
What kind of feedback did you receive from the people who tried?
Yes, for example, focus for new generation because he's don't like reading the book a lot, and that you can help him understand more his story. For example, we have some model university in Morocco or on school in Morocco. You can give him some the demo the game told about, like, from example, come the monument and can you go like in Pokemon Go. You can go the monument, scan QR code the application, and you can play some every mission you can finish. You can give him some use case or quizzes or example some avatars question, and after finish the application example you can this guy gain for example some money or some gifts story about like t-shirt or something or sample about the story about the monument.
Thank you. Very interesting. All right, we're gonna go into more technical topics now. Daniele, 3D reconstruction, that's
Yes.
way different from what we've heard until now. So, right, your research is more or less about 3D reconstruction models.
We can say that.
And or 3D pose reconstruction. So how can advances in computer vision enhance the realism and utility of XR environments? Because until now, I think, you know, especially at the beginning of XR or VR in general, things were like slightly blurry, low resolution, not much detail in general. So how is your research and the research from your lab helping improve the fidelity, realism, and in general the user experience of XR applications?
Okay. So actually, it's a very difficult question to answer because we have so much work to do that I need to pick at least one example.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed at the different demos, but there were several companies that were displaying Gaussian splatting. So it's a technique to display acquired scenes with cameras. And it was quite realistic, but if you looked well, you noticed maybe that there are a lot of issues like the glasses are not perfect. Most of the demos don't display what we call non-Lombardian material, so like glasses and transparent things. This is one of the areas where we need to improve a lot. And the other thing that you should notice is that most of the businesses were showing static images or videos, but you cannot interact with them. So I think editability will be the next frontier for XR and Gaussian splatting. Because without frontier, it's nice. You can display nice scenes, very beautiful ones, but that's all. Yeah.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. Thierry, we're going to conclude by something more high level. You are the head of the Information Systems and Artificial Intelligence Lab at Mons University, if I'm not mistaken, ISIA?
Yeah, sure.
Right. So can you tell us a little bit more? What are the hot topics right now in the research related to AI and obviously related to XR?
I wanted to say first that I have been historically very bad at predicting the future, so I'm better at predicting the past, basically.
Okay.
I've missed many things in my life. Like, I've been a speech scientist for years, and I missed I just completely couldn't imagine that speech synthesis and speech recognition would be solved so fast. Okay. I also missed the generative AI explosion, so I couldn't foresee it. But I guess not many people could foresee that. I mean, so at least I hope that once in my career I can foresee something, and I see the merge and the marriage between AI and XR, and there are many exciting things to be done there. That's why I push these areas in my lab. In the lab we have several PhD students on XR. We have like most of the PhD students are on AI, so we are a good place to do that. And there are many convergence points. Like, of course, XR can be used for AI. Like you just mentioned Gaussian splatting and the idea of understanding Gaussian splatting. So understanding the objects inside these things and editing Gaussian splatting. I think this is really a great and new area, and it will change things a lot. But also, there's also the idea of using AI to, as I said in my previous presentation, to adapt the level of XR experiences to the capacity for performances of the people who use them. Also, as just Kevin mentioned, XR can be used for AI somehow. I mean, you can train AI things inside XR or VR environments, which is also very nice. With the problem, and that we all agree, and Rihanna mentioned that, with the problem that, of course, there's a data privacy issue there, because when you wear a helmet and if you are in the metaverse and you accept that Meta or whatever other company measures everything from you, then you are a source of data and you don't even realize that they are using it for training AI. But still, okay, so there are issues, of course, and philosophical issues, but still it's a great and very exciting area. And I hope to see in the next few years great glasses, very wearable glasses, incorporating XR and AI and doing very nice things. I've seen today I've seen many talks on XR. Some of them not so convincing. I have mixed feelings about that. I've seen people talking about XR and showing, I shouldn't say that, but bullshit ideas somehow. There have been ideas that I thought, okay, well, if this is XR, where XR is going, I'm not happy with it. But there are also applications which are just great with XR. So, and I really hope to see them in the rest of my career, which is coming close to an end, little by little.
So we have to move quickly then to make sure that all these ideas are not forgotten.
Okay.
Why do you think that previous products like Google Glass or whatever that was called failed? And why are we reintroducing again glass-based products?
Why they failed?
Google Glass was not successful.
I remember I've seen people from Google presenting these glasses at the time, and they were very excited, and everyone was very, very excited at the time. And it just never reached the market, probably because it was too early, too complicated, too expensive, and not powerful enough. Just it was before the explosion of AI, basically. So it changes everything now, I hope.
Yep.
Do you think there is a fundamental challenge?
Could you pass the microphone?
Oh, sorry.
Do you think there's a fundamental challenge with the fact that there's a camera incorporated into these glasses from a societal perspective? From a societal perspective, from an acceptance perspective, and from a privacy perspective?
Well, when you mean challenge, you mean a technological challenge or a philosophical challenge, or?
I think it's the question whether society will accept.
Okay, I see. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the question is whether society will accept a technology that is invasive to privacy.
Well, I doubt that people will walk in the streets with these glasses and do all sorts of crazy things that we are told they will do in the future. I really doubt that. But of course, there are many specific applications in which it's a tool. So medical applications, teaching, whatever, all the things we've seen from your labs and from Ali's lab also. So for specific applications, I have no doubt that this will be useful. Yeah. And if it's useful enough, people will use them. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Sorry, but is that not part of the reason why the Google glasses weren't successful? Because they were meant to be consumer products.
Yeah.
I agree. Totally agree. Yeah.
Until now, most XR applications, we started by, introducing that for training purposes at work, maintenance, and these are still really, really important topics and where most XR applications are actually. But still, again, people want something fun, enjoyable, and probably not too intrusive. So it's always like a struggle to find, I think, an application that strikes the balance between all those things. I'm not sure everybody wants to walk around with a camera being recorded and record other people. This is something that will...
We have a question there.
Yeah, I will pass the microphone.
And just to rebound on this, because people already do, right? I mean, they already go around with cameras embedded in their glasses and record it and put it on social media. They already do that, and they allow themselves to do that on the streets everywhere, without any sense of privacy. Or I mean, they already do that. So if you now add AI that can help them navigate and actually have productive stuff, why wouldn't it be adopted as a tool nowadays that you actually have AI that can do that, do productive things?
Can I add to the concern, to Cyril's concern? People, when the smartphone came out, they started actually capturing everybody's faces on the street. Then they put it on YouTube, so everybody can see where you are. Now you have AI, which can actually localize where exactly you have been in the future from the YouTube processing thousands of YouTube videos. They can know Ali is in Belgium now, and next week is in somewhere else or so. It's not limited to the cameras. That was the discussion we had with the lady came from Meta yesterday, because Meta has a project Aria Gen 2, which is totally different from the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, which was a consumer market. Something like a question to Daniel about the motion capturing body locomotion and addressing this concern as well. A paper came out at SIGGRAPH, which I loved it actually, and that was about from the way you walk, AI can understand who you are.
Okay.
In future. So from these videos, even if you cover your face, even if you do anything, in future actually we are heading to like a lack of a good guidance in both sides, both XR and AI. And most of the government are now engaged in the AI summits and discussions around it and things like that. Do you need my consent to use a Ray-Ban and capturing me and then using nerve for Gaussian splatting of making the scene? Is it something that we all happy with it, or is it something that, because we know the benefits of it and we also know the disadvantages of these things. So how do you think this future needs people involvement? Because I think the theme of the talk was how you co-designing technology with people, and where are we with just giving those consents or doing those things?
So I'm really not an expert in consent about personal data, but I will try to answer. What I think is that data per se is not that important. I mean, I saw a lot of people that were discussing like when you have a camera inside the glasses that follow your eyes and that produce data. Okay, and so if we store that data, it's kind of bad because it's personal data. Okay, but those are like just ocular movements. For me, it depends really on what you do with the data. So what we should regulate is what we can do and what we cannot do. But the data per se, I mean, it's not that important in my opinion, unless it's very personal, but
Ask another question. Would you like anyone else? Yes, Kevin?
No, I don't have
I had a question for Professor Diels from the first the answer you gave about user-centered design and inclusivity. I think it's true that probably most companies don't do that, and the reason why they don't, it's that it's mechanically very complicated to do so, right? I mean, if you wanted to have 1,000 people come and help you design things, and you wanted to have them with the most various cultural background possible, even just in Europe, you'll need to have them, you need to bring them with a visa, a working visa, so that you can pay them, and only that is a huge problem. Mechanically, it's a problem to do that. So if we imagined building an LLM or VLM-like model that could mimic the preferences of a group of users that would solve the problem, right? Because you would have some kind of simulator with generic enough knowledge that they can at least simulate the preferences of a group of people. So that would, I imagine, definitely solve part of the problem at least. But based on your observations and your work, do you think that's even feasible? To create a model with, like, can we gather enough data or enough accurate data to create such a model or even think of creating such a model?
The honest answer, I'm not entirely sure because I'm not a modeler. But I think from our experience, it's definitely the case that the intersections of different requirements of a wide variety of people makes it very hard to take a simply empirical route, as you say. So the number of permutations would be, incredible. So it's practically not possible to include all these people. But I think an alternative approach to this is to use the edge cases, and to really look at the extreme users. And that's sort of in many ways a shortcut to make sure that you capture the ends of the spectrum. With the idea that at least you capture most of those in between. So that's more of a pragmatic approach to making sure that it's sort of still manageable. Whether it's possible to capture all in those models, I'm not sure, but I think it's exciting, and I look forward to seeing the work in that space.
Can I just ask another question from Yassine, which is interesting panel. I don't know how we actually gathered together. It's quite diverse. So how do you see Morocco sees UK and Belgium in the future?
This is a difficult question. Yes, for Morocco, I think with this last technology, we do a lot of work for presenting or explain about this gaming and immersive technology. And not in Morocco, but in Nigeria, Ethiopia, Tunisia, we have a lot of partners who work for that, because we have a lot of clients and partners who don't know about immersive technology, but he wants to integrate, but I don't know how to start. He knows us, the headset. I don't know about the headset. That's why we visited we do a lot of events in Africa, like example, Moroccan Gaming Expo, and we have in Nigeria Gaming Africa and Tunisia. That's more explain about the immersive technology, how we can reduce the problem with the technology and the gaming and the AI, and can combine with XR and AI. And I don't have a lot of work to do in Africa, because it's next future. You do a lot of things, but in UK, I think you have a gaming, you have good organization about that, and I think in Belgium there's the same. In Europe, you don't have, I think, or don't have problem about that, but in Africa, we have a lot of work to do with. That's it.
Thank you. I think we have to finish here. We are a few minutes over time. Thank you so much for participating in this session, to all of you. And